Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Roche Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, we just passed 330 subs. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I hope I can continue to make great content you guys will enjoy in the future. Now, Kyrie Irving has been traded from the Brookyln Nets to the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to go over whether I think this was a good decision by the Dallas Mavericks to trade for Kyrie Irving, and whether the Brookyln Nets or the Dallas Mavericks are going to benefit from this trade in the long run. Now, obviously, Kyrie Irving is one of the best guards in the NBA, and he's still a great player even at the age of 30. And the Brookyln Nets, they've kind of been a sinking ship lately with James Harden being traded to the 76ers. And now that you only have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant left, you kind of felt like eventually the Nets were going to blow the whole thing up and end up trading both of them. And now Kyrie Irving has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. And the only player that's left on the Brookyln Nets of the trio is Kevin Durant. And now he's all alone, and he's probably not going to want to stay with the Brookyln Nets anymore now that Kyrie Irving is gone. But the Dallas Mavericks, this was a bold decision to get Kyrie Irving because of the fact Luka Doncic does need help. He's a fantastic player, but he can't do it all on his own. He's one of the best players in the league, and you know Luka Doncic is going to want to have a shot to be able to win an NBA title, but you're not going to be able to do that with the current players that they have. They have decent players, but they don't have another star on the team. And I think on paper, getting Kyrie Irving is a great decision for the Dallas Mavericks because Kyrie Irving is one of the top 20 players in the NBA. He's still a fantastic player, but there are a few downsides to this decision because Kyrie Irving is 30 years of age. He's probably not going to be playing at this high of a level for too many more years, depending on how long the Dallas Mavericks want to keep Kyrie Irving. If they want to keep him for a few years down the road to be with Luka Doncic to be able to have a shot to win an NBA championship, I do think that possibly that window is going to be really small, and I do think that the Dallas Mavericks could be able to win an NBA championship with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, but I also think that they're going to need another player to be able to get them over the top. I don't think they're going to be able to bring Kevin Durant along as well, but they're going to have to get another player that's at least one of the top 30 players in the NBA to be able to win an NBA title. I don't think Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic is going to be enough. But the other problem for the Dallas Mavericks is what they had to give away to get Kyrie Irving. They had to trade away Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a first-round draft pick and multiple second-round draft picks just to get Kyrie Irving from the Brookyln Nets. And I think at first glance, you would think that's not really that big a deal. But Spencer Dinwiddie did average 18 points a game for the Dallas Mavericks, and Dorian Finney-Smith averaged 9 points a game. And all of those draft picks are going to be future assets that the Dallas Mavericks are no longer going to have that now the Brookyln Nets are going to have. So that's a really tough loss for the Dallas Mavericks to have to give all that away. Because you look at what Kyrie Irving's averaging this year for the Brookyln Nets. He's averaging 27.1 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. And if you look at Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith's combined points per game, that's 27 points per game. So actually, that is even Steven with the same amount of points that Kyrie Irving scores per game, which is the same as Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith combined. So taking the points per game into account, you could actually say that this is an equal trade. But also the Dallas Mavericks had to give away all those draft picks to the Brookyln Nets. And now, obviously, I do think that Kyrie Irving being a star player, his impact on the Dallas Mavericks in a game, even though his points per game is the same amount as Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, I think will be more than what Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith provided. Kyrie Irving is a fantastic player, so I think that his value for the Dallas Mavericks is going to be a lot more than what Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith provided, even though their points per games are equal combined. But I think that losing the draft picks is a tough loss as well. And I think that Kyrie Irving, even though he is 30 years of age, like I said, he's going to have a few more years left in the tank. And I think that he and Luka Doncic will be able to pair up reasonably well. Even though Kyrie Irving is a point guard and technically Luka Doncic, even though he has a small forward's body, does play point guard a good bit for the Dallas Mavericks, he could easily slide over and play more of his natural position off the ball as a small forward and allow Kyrie Irving to play more of the point guard position and be able to distribute the ball better to Luka Doncic. So overall, I think with a few tweaks, they will be able to play well together. I think they're going to be able to pair up well and be able to play at a high level and be able to have a good shot to advance far in the NBA playoffs this year and maybe in the next few years. But they're going to have to win in the next few years with Kyrie Irving because he is going to age out. And I think that they're going to have to bring in another borderline star for this trade to matter for the Dallas Mavericks if they want to have a shot of winning an NBA championship. But I think in the short term, I think this trade actually does help the Dallas Mavericks to be able to bring in Kyrie Irving. I know some people would also mention all the off-the-court stuff Kyrie Irving's had lately, but still, I don't know if that's going to be too much of a distraction for the Dallas Mavericks as long as that doesn't come up again. But again, I think for the Dallas Mavericks, they have won this trade in the short term. But in the long term, I think this trade could help the Brookyln Nets because they did get two solid players in Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. And all those draft picks are going to be really key for the Brookyln Nets, especially if they trade Kevin Durant as well. Then they'll be able to have even more assets. So even though the Brookyln Nets won't be good for a few years, they will have a lot of assets. And if they play their cards right, they could be really good down the road. But again, I think for the Dallas Mavericks, they have won this trade in the short term. This was a good decision to bring in Kyrie Irving to have a shot to be able to win an NBA championship in the next few years, because both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are great players. They're just going to need another player that's really solid as well to be able to put them over the top. So like I said, I think the Dallas Mavericks have won this trade in the short term, but in the long term, once Kyrie Irving ages out, the Dallas Mavericks are not going to have a good chance to win an NBA championship. And plus, they've traded a lot of their assets away. And even though they still do have some assets, it's going to be really tough for them to be able to win some games in the future once their assets have dried up. And in a few years, they could hit rock bottom. But for now, I think the Dallas Mavericks made a good decision to get Kyrie Irving in the short term to be able to have a shot to win an NBA championship in the next couple of years. But in the long term, I think this trade could help the Brookyln Nets because they're going to have a lot of assets, especially if they trade Kevin Durant as well in the future, to be able to maybe build something and win a lot of NBA games down the line. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you think the Dallas Mavericks trading for Kyrie Irving was a good decision or not, or whether you think the Dallas Mavericks or the Brookyln Nets won this trade. And I will see you next time.